remind everyone about the He Gets Us campaign and what it is?
Yeah, what we did is, strategically, we did a lot of research before we did this campaign. And we actually interviewed over 8,000 people, and we actually did an exact replica of the beliefs in the United States to be able to really understand what's going on in this country. And we found out that there's a wide swath of people in the United States that think they know a lot about Jesus, but when you start scratching the surface, they really don't know that much about Jesus, about what he stood for, who he stood for, what he stood against, and the love of Jesus, right? Because you talked about this in the opening. How is the church being characterized and today? And it's a lot about what we're against and not what we're for. And as a result, we learned in the research that when we started to discuss with people what Jesus really stood for and what he really taught, that over 50% of skeptics, people that we classified as skeptics who just are distant from the church, don't believe in Jesus, but still believe in a higher power, over 50% of those people said after we revealed very little about Jesus, they said, I didn't know that, and I'm interested in learning more. Even cultural Christians, people who were raised in the church, who believe that they know everything about Jesus and everything about the Bible, but they don't practice their faith really regularly and haven't accepted Jesus' divinity, 85% of those people, based on the things that we exposed to them about Jesus and his love and what he really taught, said, I'm interested in learning more. And so that's what we've done with this campaign is we've created a campaign that shows people what Jesus' love feels like and looks like.
And we have one of the spots for, this one's called Dinner Party. These are things that you have played. You played them during, in fact, tell us before we play the spot, where were you playing these spots? Where was your strategy?
So we did a 10-market test, and so we perfected everything before we went to market. And we launched just recently nationally across the whole country. We've got billboards, we've got radio ads. We actually launched during March Madness, and we found that sporting events and live sporting events, even though it's not our only strategy, is a great place to reach people who need to know more about Christ, right? Mm-hmm. And so we're all over the country. You said that you watched the ball game the other day, and there was our billboard right behind home plate.
Let's watch this dinner party spot. He Gets Us.
A caring man took a walk. Everywhere he looked, people suffered. Anxiety ran high, hope dwindled, hatred rose. His neighbors had lost trust in the system and in each other. I need to do something, he thought. I'll bring them together and feed them. Around the dinner table, they can talk and see how much they have in common. Shared struggles, shared joy, shared pain. So he prepared a feast and invited all into his home. But some refused to sit at his table because they chose to only see differences. He was heartbroken because he wanted everyone to eat and be filled, not with food and wine, but with compassion.
I love that spot so much, this dinner party. And I just want to ask you, what inspired you and your team to create it in such a way and even just use pictures to convey Jesus' heart that he welcomes all to the table?
Yeah, we wanted to approach this in a very unique way, right? And in a storytelling way, in a way that made people pay attention. And so, kind of the subtleness and the softness and using pictures, journalistic like images. And these are actually real pictures that have appeared in like Time Magazine and Newsweek and stuff like that, which they rarely ever license for advertising purposes, but they agreed to allow us to use these just beautiful images. But, we're trying to raise the respect and personal relevancy of Jesus. And again, what people think Christians are against so much, and what they aren't, they actually are for everybody, right? And Jesus is for everybody. And his love is available to anybody who wants to sign on. You mentioned this earlier. It's like, and even in the scripture that you shared, Jesus was tough on the hypocrites, but he was tender with the non-believers, right? And so what we wanted to do in every one of our spots, if you go and you really want to know what the biblical underpinnings of every one of these spots, we can find you scripture after scripture after scripture that supports these commercials and this approach. But it was very clear, as you said, even in your opening, Jesus welcomes all to the table. Our job in evangelism, and I heard somebody call this recently advangelism, our job as evangelism in evangelism is to bring people to Christ and show him their love and then open their hearts for a deeper discussion, right? Interestingly enough, the response to these ads, we have, if you go to the hegetsus.com website, which everybody is directed to that, you can chat, you can text, you can connect with somebody, right, who will start a relationship with you. But the number one response to this ad campaign has been so far is people wanting to read scripture. We're actually providing them. He gets us Bible reading plans, and people are saying, I saw this story. I want to understand what is in the Bible about this, and we provide them the scripture that's behind that. And we're shocked. We thought chat and text and and prayer would be much higher, but people actually want to read scripture and understand what it is that we're sharing. Is that really true? Is that what Jesus was really about? And fortunately, he was, and he is.
Another spot here that we'd like to show everyone. This one is called Wrongly Judged.
A rebel took to the streets. He recruited others to join him. They quit their jobs, left their families, and swore allegiance to him. They roamed the hood, challenged authority, and made a lot of people uneasy. Community leaders feared them. Religious leaders abhorred them. Law enforcement labeled them outlaws. We have to shut them down, they said. Get them off the streets. Protect our communities from these troublemakers. But they weren't part of a gang spreading hate and terror. They were spreading love.
Bill, I just like watching that spot, Wrongly Judged, because it reminds me of those who are on the outcasts, who are on the outside, and how Jesus is drawn to those that society or even the church just kind of casts aside, but he's the one that runs to them and says, like, come to me. And we just wanted to ask you, what kind of results have you seen or responses from people who feel like they're on the outside, or do you have any testimonies that you could share with us?
Yeah, and what's interesting about that spot, too, is you're exactly right. It's for the people who feel marginalized, who feel left out, and for whatever reason, even the word evangelism today is like, or being an evangelical today is characterized as being a white Republican, right? We got to lose all that, and people can't feel on the outside. And Jesus actually, as you said, reached to those people. Another interesting aspect of that particular spot is we couldn't find the right photos, so we actually went and got our own photos. Every person in that commercial is a former gang member that has come to Christ. Wow. And we shot it in East LA. I mean, these are legit former gang members, and they're beautiful people today. And the Bible is full of stories of redemption, and we forget that. Like we expect everybody to be perfect, but the reality is we have to bring people along, especially people who feel marginalized. The results of this campaign already are just unbelievable. We're already over 100 million YouTube viewers, and we're only in week 4 of our commercials, right? We have millions of people who are coming to the website. We have thousands of interactions with people who are being led to read scripture, to chat. People are asking for prayer. Not even really understanding what they're asking for, because they share broken stories with us about, when I pray, I don't hear anything. And so they want somebody else to pray for them and explain to them how they can actually engage with Christ and understand Christ and use his power in their life. Some of the testimonies that we've seen, that spot in particular, I heard a story about a guy, he was in his 50s, white, a salesperson, right? And he responded as saying that spot spoke to him. And we were like, whoa, really? We didn't, we didn't expect, a 50-year-old white guy, salesperson, to be, moved by that spot. And then he explained that he's an ex-con. Mm-hmm. And he doesn't usually reveal that to people, because even though he's redeemed himself and he actually found Christ in prison, the minute he says that, he says, I'm always wrongly judged. People don't give me, a break. And so he understands, and he was moved by that spot. We all know that there's one way to God, but there's thousands of ways to Jesus, right? And that's why we're creating so many different stories, because so many different journeys out there that all can be redeemed and led to Christ.
Well, Bill, we want to ask in just a minute. We're going to play one more spot, and then when we come back from the spot, we want to ask you about how we can be involved, how anyone can be involved in the campaign. So let's watch this spot called Canceled.
There was an influencer who became insanely popular. Everybody started following him. Then, one day, he stood up for something he believed in. People got angry. The establishment called him an extremist, said he shouldn't be allowed to share his views. They would stop at nothing to shut him up. So they did what they had to do. They nailed him to a cross.
He gets us. Man, I love these spots, Bill. So tell us, how can an individual, a church, a denomination, how can they get involved in the He Gets Us campaign?
Yeah, and one thing before that spot that you just saw debuts today nationally.
Wow.
Right? The week before Easter, reminding people, that Jesus was canceled, and a lot of people feel shut out and left out, and Jesus felt the same thing. And so that's what all of this is based on, a contemporary storytelling model, which Jesus used himself, right? You start with the conditions of people and you tell stories that they can resonate with, right? How people can get involved is, we actually have a partner website called HeGetsUsPartners.com. And please convince your church or your church leader or somebody, that can engage in this activity and movement in your community. Go to this and learn more about this campaign. And there are places for people to sign up and get involved in this campaign. And what we really need to do, while we're trying to raise the respect and relevancy of people who don't know Christ, we're also trying to call up Christians to say, let's reflect and respond Christ's love better, right? And in order to do that, you can actually work with some of the research and insights that we got in this campaign and understand how to talk to people today in a contemporary media-saturated world, how to talk to people about Christ that's relevant to them and engaging to them, right? We're not saying twist the gospel. We're not saying change the gospel. We're just saying, just like Jesus, modify your approach to the person and their condition, show them love, and bring them to Christ that way. So HeGetsUsPartners.com is the place to get more information.
And it's HeGetsUs.com, and we'll have that also on our website, ctvn.org. People can go there as well. Bill, I love the campaign. I love the communication. I told you a little story before we went to air that I was barely watching March Madness. I had my computer on my lap. I'm sort of paying attention, but my wife, she said, wow, that was a great spot. And I looked up just in time to catch the He Gets Us. And I'm like, that's it. That's who we're having on the air. And thank you so much for this campaign. Just real quick, 30 seconds, where are you going to be placing these spots as we move forward through the summer?
We're going to continue to be on television. We're going to continue to be on YouTube and social media, outdoor billboards. We actually have billboards right now in Times Square in Las Vegas, and we're reaching people wherever they're at. And we've got we even have some news of a NASCAR car that's coming up that wants to carry our flag on their car soon. So this is going to be pervasive. You're going to feel this, and over the summer you're going to feel it, but especially this fall is actually when the biggest push is going to come.